If you're over 60, or even getting close to it, I want you to hear this clearly. One single squat, yes, just one, could make a huge difference in your health. And before you think, oh no, squats, those are for gym people, let me stop you right there. I'm not talking about heavy weights, extreme bending, or anything that's going to hurt your knees or make you feel like you're training for the Olympics. I'm talking about a version of the squat that almost anyone can do. One that taps into something your body has been built for since the day you learned to stand up. And today, I'm going to show you why this one movement might be the closest thing we have to an all-in-one anti-aging exercise. Yes, really.
One simple squat variation, the sit-to-stand squat, can significantly improve health for adults over 60 because it's a movement that reconnects the body with its most essential form of strength, the kind of strength that supports everyday life rather than gym-centered fitness. When people think of squats, they often picture heavy weights, athletic training, or movements that require a lot of flexibility. But the sit-to-stand version is the opposite. It's natural, familiar, and directly tied to the core of human function. What makes it so powerful is that it mirrors something older adults do repeatedly throughout the day, but by turning it into an intentional exercise, it transforms the body in ways most people don't expect. At 60 and beyond, the body's priorities shift. Instead of chasing muscle definition or extreme workouts, the focus becomes maintaining independence, preserving joint health, increasing stability, preventing falls, and keeping the muscles awake and active so they continue supporting the rest of the body. This is exactly why the sit-to-stand squat becomes such an effective tool. As the body ages, small drops in leg strength become noticeable long before people even realize what's happening. Getting out of a chair feels just a little harder. Getting out of a car requires just an extra second, and climbing stairs becomes something that demands more concentration. These changes don't arrive suddenly, they creep in gradually, often so slowly that people assume it's simply what aging feels like. But it's not aging alone, it's disuse, weakening muscles, less stability, and less activation of the systems the body relies on every day. The beauty of the sit-to-stand squat is that it targets all the areas that tend to weaken first. The quadriceps, located along the front of the thighs, play an enormous role in stabilizing the knee joints. When these muscles weaken, people feel wobbly or unstable when standing up or walking. The simple act of sitting down and standing up repeatedly restores strength to these muscles in a way that's functional and safe. The glute muscles, which are essential for balance, walking, and maintaining proper posture, also become underused in later decades of life, especially for people who spend long periods sitting. When glutes weaken, the body compensates by overusing the lower back or knees, leading to discomfort, stiffness, and sometimes pain. The sit-to-stand squat naturally activates the glutes every time the body shifts from seated to standing, helping reawaken these muscles and restore their role in stabilizing the entire lower body. This kind of activation doesn't require speed or depth or gym equipment. It simply requires intention and repetition, which is why it's such an approachable exercise. Even more importantly, the sit-to-stand squat strengthens the entire chain of muscles that the body uses to prevent falls. Balance is not just about the feet or the inner ear. It's about the coordination between the legs, core, and brain. When you practice rising from a chair and lowering yourself gently back down, your body learns how to stabilize itself during movement. Tiny muscles around the ankles, knees, and hips fire in coordination to keep you upright. This training translates directly into better balance during daily activities. A stronger lower body means fewer stumbles, fewer moments of panic when stepping off a curb, and more confidence while walking on uneven surfaces. For older adults, preventing falls is one of the most important aspects of staying healthy, and this one simple movement supports that goal more effectively than many complicated exercises. The sit-to-stand squat also improves circulation. When large leg muscles contract and relax, they help push blood back toward the heart. Stronger leg muscles improve this process, making circulation more efficient and reducing stiffness. Improved blood flow means the body can deliver oxygen and nutrients more effectively, which supports everything from joint health to energy levels. Many older adults experience fatigue simply because their muscles aren't actively helping the body pump blood through the system. By practicing the squat, they stimulate circulation in a natural and safe way. The cardiovascular benefits might feel subtle at first, but over time they can contribute to better stamina, easier walking, and even improved mood. Movement creates momentum inside the body, and this particular movement is gentle enough to perform daily without straining the joints. Another powerful aspect of the sit-to-stand squat is that it reactivates the core muscles without requiring any special positions or exercises on the floor. The core is essential for posture, breathing, digestion, and lower back support. Many people notice that as they age, their posture becomes more rounded, their back feels tired more easily, or they feel less steady when turning or bending. These are all signs that the core isn't engaging the way it used to. During a sit-to-stand squat, the body naturally braces the core to keep the torso upright. Each repetition trains the deep abdominal muscles to support movement, and this carries over into everything else a person does during the day. Better posture reduces the load on the lower back, decreases pain, increases lung capacity, and even improves confidence. Standing tall is not just a physical position, it influences how a person feels mentally and emotionally, and the sit-to-stand squat supports this from the inside out. One of the most remarkable things about this exercise is how quickly the body responds to it. Even people who haven't exercised in years notice changes when they begin practicing sit-to-stand squats consistently. The movement is so fundamental to daily life that the muscles adapt quickly, becoming stronger in weeks, sometimes even days. The improvement doesn't require high intensity or complicated routines. It doesn't require a gym membership or expensive equipment. The barrier to entry is so low that almost anyone can start immediately. And because the movement is natural, the body doesn't feel shocked or overwhelmed by it. Instead, it feels like a return to something familiar, something it remembers and understands. The neurological pathways that control standing and sitting sharpen. The muscles regain strength, and the joints move more comfortably because the body is finally practicing what it needs to stay capable. The psychological benefits are just as meaningful as the physical ones. Many older adults feel discouraged when they start to lose strength or mobility. They may avoid physical activity out of fear, worry they might injure themselves, or feel embarrassed by what they can't do anymore. This creates a cycle of inactivity, which then leads to more weakness. But the sit-to-stand squat breaks this cycle because it's simple, safe, and immediately rewarding. Performing even a few repetitions gives a sense of accomplishment. The exercise feels familiar, not intimidating, and people quickly realize that they're capable of more than they thought. This builds confidence. Confidence leads to more movement. More movement leads to better strength. Better strength leads to greater independence. The emotional empowerment that comes from being able to stand up effortlessly is profound, especially for someone who has felt limited or hesitant. The sit-to-stand squat also supports brain health in ways people don't often think about. The legs contain some of the body's largest muscles, and when these muscles are activated, they stimulate the release of hormones and proteins that support brain function. Studies have shown that leg strength is linked to better cognitive health as people age. The simple act of repeatedly standing and sitting sends important signals through the nervous system, reinforcing coordination, reaction time, and awareness of body position. This connection between physical strength and cognitive function becomes more important with age, and the fact that a simple squat can support it makes the movement even more valuable. Another reason this single exercise is so impactful is because it touches every part of daily living. Nearly every movement we do involves transitioning from one position to another. Standing from a chair, lowering onto a couch, getting out of bed, entering or exiting a vehicle, bending down to pick something up, and even shifting weight while walking, all depend on the same chain of muscles activated during the sit-to-stand squat. Practicing this movement intentionally means that these everyday actions become easier. The body feels more capable. People move with less hesitation, less stiffness, and less discomfort. This contributes to maintaining independence, which is one of the most important goals for people as they age. The exercise also adapts beautifully to different levels of ability.
Someone who is just beginning can start with a higher chair or even use their hands lightly for support. As strength improves, they can transition to using their legs more actively. Eventually, many people who once struggled to stand without assistance find themselves standing from lower chairs, using fewer hand supports, or even performing multiple repetitions at a time. This kind of progress is deeply motivating because it shows visible and tangible improvement. Unlike complex fitness routines that feel abstract or disconnected from daily life, this movement delivers benefits that people feel every day. The exercise also preserves joint health. When the hips, knees, and ankles move through their natural range of motion under controlled conditions, the joints receive nourishment through increased circulation of synovial fluid. This fluid acts like lubrication inside the joint, reducing stiffness and supporting smooth movement. As people age, joints often feel stiff not because they're damaged, but because they aren't being moved enough in safe and consistent ways. This simple squat restores that movement gently and effectively. For adults over 60, maintaining muscle mass is one of the most important components of healthy aging. Muscle naturally declines with age, but consistent activation slows this process dramatically. The sit-to-stand squat stimulates muscle growth in the exact areas that tend to decline first, helping preserve strength and mobility well into later years. And because the exercise doesn't require lying on the floor, kneeling, or bending deeply, it feels approachable, not intimidating. This one single movement becomes a foundation for building a more active lifestyle. When people feel stronger,
When we talk about strength and independence as we age, most people imagine complicated workouts, heavy equipment, or long gym sessions. But the truth is that something as simple as building strength in your legs, hips, and core can completely change how you move through your day and how confident you feel in your body. The sit-to-stand squat, even though it looks incredibly simple, has the power to rebuild these essential muscles in a way that directly impacts your everyday life. Think about how many times you stand up and sit down in one single day. Whether you're getting out of bed in the morning, sitting at the breakfast table, sliding into the car, standing up from a couch, or lowering yourself into a chair at lunch, this motion repeats itself over and over. And with each repetition, your body is using the exact muscles that keep you independent, steady, and capable. Now imagine what happens when those muscles are weak. Suddenly, getting up from a chair doesn't feel effortless anymore. You might find yourself pushing off your knees, grabbing the armrest, shifting your weight, or trying twice before you finally stand up. These are early signs that the legs, hips, and core are losing the strength they need, and once that happens, mobility can decline faster than people expect. That's why strengthening these key areas is so important, and why this one simple squat, which mimics the exact motion you already rely on every day, is so effective. Your legs are your foundation, your support system, your body's primary tools for moving through the world. They hold your weight, they keep you balanced, they help you walk, climb steps, lift things, and stay steady when the ground beneath you changes. When your legs are strong, you move without hesitation. You can keep up with your family, go for walks, travel comfortably, and do activities that bring you joy. When your legs start to weaken, everything becomes more effortful, and sometimes even intimidating. People start avoiding stairs. They decline invitations that involve walking or standing. They stop doing small tasks around the house. And all of this creates a snowball effect, where less movement leads to even weaker muscles, and weaker muscles make daily life harder. That's why strengthening your legs with a simple squat can be the turning point that keeps you active, independent, and fully participating in your life. The sit-to-stand squat activates your quads, hamstrings, and glutes in a controlled, safe way, which is especially important for adults over 60 who may have joint sensitivities or previous injuries. This movement doesn't require deep bending or heavy pressure on the knees like traditional gym squats. Instead, it uses your own body weight in a natural range of motion that you've been using your entire life, making it both familiar and highly effective. Then there are your hips, which play an enormous role in stability and balance. Hip strength is one of the first things many people lose as they age, often without realizing it. When the hips weaken, walking becomes less steady, posture shifts, and balance becomes unpredictable. You may notice that standing on one leg feels harder than it used to, or that stepping sideways or turning too quickly throws you off. Strong hips keep your body aligned, support your lower back, and help you maintain control whenever you move in any direction. The sit-to-stand squat activates the hip muscles in a very natural way, especially the glutes,
which are the largest and most powerful muscles in your lower body. When the glutes are strong, your hips stay stable, your pelvis stays aligned, your back stays supported, and your entire lower body moves more efficiently. This is especially important for fall prevention. Falls are one of the biggest health risks for older adults, but most people don't realize that many falls begin with small moments of instability caused by weak hips and core muscles. By strengthening these areas, you give your body the support it needs to stay balanced when stepping over a curb, turning suddenly, reaching for something on a shelf, or walking on uneven ground. And then we have the core, which is often misunderstood. Many people think of the core as just the abdominal muscles, the area you work when you do sit-ups or crunches. But your core is much more than that. It includes your lower back muscles, your obliques, your pelvic muscles, and the deep stabilizers that protect your spine. Your core is like the body's communication center that connects your upper and lower halves. And when it's strong, your entire body works better. A strong core helps you maintain balance, stand up straight, breathe more easily, and move with confidence. When your core is weak, your posture collapses, your back hurts more easily, and even small movements feel less stable. The sit-to-stand squat naturally strengthens the core because every time you stand up or sit down, your abdominal and back muscles engage to keep your torso upright. Instead of doing crunches on the floor or twisting exercises that might strain your spine, this squat builds core strength through a grounded, functional movement that supports your real-life activities. What makes this so powerful for older adults is that this one exercise supports all three of these major muscle groups at once. It's incredibly efficient. You don't need multiple machines at the gym, you don't need instructions for 10 different exercises, and you don't need to memorize complicated routines. It's one movement that mirrors the exact motion your body already depends on every day. And because it's something you can do anywhere, at any time, without equipment, there are no barriers to getting started. Just practicing this movement consistently can help rebuild the muscle strength that tends to fade with age. It gives you the power to stand up from a chair with confidence, to bend and lift safely, to walk without hesitation, and to maintain the mobility that makes daily life feel good rather than like a constant challenge. Strengthening your legs, hips, and core is not just about building muscle. It's about reclaiming independence. It's about being able to do things without needing help, without relying on devices, without fear of falling or failing. It's about being able to get off the floor if you need to, climb stairs without holding your breath, carry groceries with steady footing, and move through your day feeling capable and in control. These muscles give you freedom, and once you strengthen them, you begin to rediscover what your body can do. Many people over 60 underestimate how quickly these areas can improve once you start practicing small, consistent movements. Even if your legs feel weak right now, even if you haven't exercised in years, even if you've had injuries or surgeries, your body is incredibly adaptable. Muscles respond to training at any age, and it doesn't take long before you start noticing changes. Maybe the first week standing up feels tough and your legs shake a little. Maybe you can only do 2 or 3 repetitions. That's perfectly fine, because those early reps, even if they feel challenging, are already sending signals to your muscles to wake up, strengthen, and rebuild. Over time, the movement becomes smoother. Your legs push more powerfully. Your hips stay more stable. Your core keeps you upright without much effort. You begin to trust your body again. You begin to feel grounded, balanced, stronger. And once that happens, the benefits spill over into every part of your daily life. You walk with more speed and comfort. You sit and stand without hesitation. You move more freely, which naturally leads to doing even more activity, which further strengthens your muscles and keeps your momentum going. This is why building essential leg, hip, and core strength is not just about fitness goals, it's a path to preserving your independence, boosting your confidence, and increasing your quality of life in a very real and noticeable way through the simple sit-to-stand squat, a movement that supports your body exactly where it needs it most as you get older.
When you think about exercises that can improve your health, extend your mobility, and make your everyday life easier, it's easy to imagine complicated workouts, special equipment, or routines that feel overwhelming, especially if you're over 60 or haven't exercised in a while. But the reality is that some of the most powerful and effective movements for your body are the ones you already do every single day without even realizing it. Standing up and sitting down is one of those movements that seems so ordinary, so automatic, that most people don't pay attention to it. Yet this simple motion is the foundation of independence, strength, and mobility as we age. And when you practice it intentionally, when you turn it into a purposeful exercise, it becomes incredibly effective at building the muscles you rely on the most. Every morning, you get out of bed. You move from the sofa to the kitchen chair. You sit down to read, eat, rest, or talk. Throughout the day, this sit-to-stand pattern repeats itself again and again. It may seem small, but it's actually one of the most important functional movements your body performs. Functional movements are actions that directly reflect the activities you need for everyday living, things like walking, reaching, climbing stairs, and yes, standing up from a chair. These are the movements that allow you to live independently, move confidently, and engage with the world around you. The sit-to-stand movement is at the center of all of that. When your body can perform this movement smoothly, with control and without strain, it's a sign that your legs, hips, and core are working well together. But when this motion becomes harder, when you notice you need to push off your thighs or use your hands on the chair, or when it takes more effort to rise than it used to, it's often an early indicator that your lower body strength is starting to fade. That's why turning this everyday movement into an intentional exercise is so powerful. You aren't learning something new, you aren't forcing your body into unfamiliar positions, and you certainly aren't doing anything risky. Instead, you're strengthening the very muscles that support the movement you're already doing dozens of times a day. When you practice the sit-to-stand squat with purpose, your body recognizes the motion immediately. It knows exactly what to do, and because the movement is natural, you're less likely to experience strain, discomfort, or confusion about technique. This makes it one of the safest and most accessible exercises for older adults, especially those who may feel intimidated by gym-based routines or floor exercises. Think about how intuitive it feels to sit down. Your hips move back, your knees bend, your torso adjusts, and your weight shifts in a way that your body has mastered through years of practice. The sit-to-stand squat simply takes this familiar pattern and adds intention to it. Instead of letting gravity pull you down quickly, you lower yourself with control. Instead of letting your knees drift inward or outward, you pay attention to their alignment. Instead of relying on momentum to stand, you press through your legs, engage your core, and lift your body in a steady, strong motion. The difference between doing it casually and doing it intentionally is subtle, but incredibly powerful. It turns a basic daily task into a full-body strengthening exercise without any added complexity. And the best part is that the motion is so familiar that almost anyone can begin practicing it immediately. You don't need to study instructions, learn choreography, or memorize sequences. You simply use a chair, something you already trust and interact with every day. A stable chair becomes your training equipment, and your own body becomes the weight you're lifting. This simplicity means you can practice it anywhere, at home, in the living room, in the kitchen, at the office, even at a park bench. There are no barriers to entry. You aren't limited by weather, you don't need to drive anywhere, and you don't need to buy anything. That level of accessibility is rare in the world of exercise, and it's one of the reasons the sit-to-stand squat is so effective for people over 60. Another powerful benefit of practicing this movement intentionally is how directly it translates back into your daily life. Many exercises work muscles that help you get stronger, but don't always show up immediately in the activities you care about. But the sit-to-stand movement is different because you're literally training the exact pattern you use throughout your day. When you become stronger in this movement, you instantly feel the improvement in moments like standing up from the couch, getting out of the car, rising from a low seat, or transitioning from sitting to standing during conversations or meals. That's one of the most rewarding parts of this exercise. The benefits show up quickly, and you can feel them in very real practical situations. The motion also engages multiple muscle groups at once. When you lower yourself into the chair, your quads control the descent, your glutes engage to stabilize the hips, and your core keeps your torso upright. When you stand up,
Your legs power the lift, your hips drive the movement, and your core keeps everything aligned. Few exercises activate so many major muscle groups in a single natural motion, which makes this movement incredibly efficient. Instead of spending time working on each area separately, this one functional motion strengthens them together, the way your body actually uses them. This is important because your muscles don't work independently in daily life. They work as a team. The sit-to-stand squat trains them as a team, which leads to better coordination, better balance, better posture, and better functional mobility. There's also a mental and emotional element tied to this movement. Many older adults start to lose confidence in their bodies when standing up becomes harder, when balance becomes unstable, or when daily tasks feel unpredictable. That loss of confidence can be just as limiting as physical weakness. But by practicing a movement you already know and already rely on, you rebuild trust in your body. You start noticing improvements in real time. Maybe you stand up more smoothly. Maybe you don't need to use your hands. Maybe the movement feels more controlled. These small wins create a powerful sense of empowerment, and that confidence spills into other areas of your life. You start walking more, moving more, and saying yes to more activities because you feel physically capable again. The motion also engages the joints in a way that feels natural and sustainable. Because you're not forcing your knees into extreme angles or loading them with heavy weights, the pressure stays manageable and safe. The hips move in their natural lines, and the spine stays neutral, which protects the back. Many older adults worry about hurting their joints while exercising, but the sit-to-stand squat uses the exact same mechanics your body is already accustomed to. Instead of introducing stress, it reinforces the patterns your joints were designed for. As your muscles strengthen, they actually reduce the workload on your joints, making your knees and hips feel better, not worse. One of the overlooked benefits of intentional sit-to-stand practice is how it helps maintain reaction strength. Reaction strength is your body's ability to move quickly when needed. For example, catching yourself when you stumble, or rising from a chair quickly if you need to answer the door. As we age, reaction strength tends to decline, which is one reason falls become more common. The sit-to-stand motion improves this because it strengthens the muscles responsible for those quick movements in a safe and controlled way. With stronger legs and a more responsive core, you're less likely to lose balance, and if you do, you're better equipped to stabilize yourself. There's also a metabolic benefit. Every time you stand up, your body activates large muscle groups, which increases blood flow, raises your heart rate just a little, and boosts circulation. Over time, this helps support cardiovascular health, improve energy levels, and reduce stiffness. It also helps with glucose regulation, which is especially important for older adults managing blood sugar. Something as small as practicing a set of sit-to-stand squats daily can help maintain metabolic health in a way that feels manageable and doesn't require intense cardio sessions. And the simplicity of the exercise makes consistency more achievable. One of the biggest barriers people over 60 face with exercise isn't ability, it's consistency. Many routines feel too long, too hard, or too complicated, which makes people avoid them. But when the exercise is familiar, when it takes almost no time, and when it fits naturally into your day, it becomes much easier to stick with. You can do it while watching TV, while waiting for water to boil, as part of your morning routine, or before sitting down to read. That level of integration makes it one of the most sustainable exercises available. All of these benefits come from turning a movement you already do into something you do with intention, with awareness, and with the goal of strengthening your body. That's the beauty of the sit-to-stand squat. It doesn't require change, it simply enhances what you're already doing. And because the movement is so natural, it meets you exactly where you are, whether you're strong and active or feeling deconditioned and unsure. It adapts to your body, supports your joints, activates your muscles, and helps you rebuild the essential strength needed for independence and mobility as you age.
When you think about the idea of stronger legs being linked to longevity, better mobility, and a lower risk of falls, it might sound almost too simple. Like, how could something as basic as strengthening your legs actually influence how long you stay active, how well you move, and how safe you are day to day? But the more you look at how the human body works, especially as we get older, the more you start to see that the legs play a much bigger role than most people realize. They aren't just tools for walking or climbing stairs. They're the engines of your balance, your stability, your circulation, your confidence, your brain health, and even your independence. Strong legs support almost every major function that keeps you living fully, moving freely, and staying safe. Think about how much your legs do for you every single day, often without you even noticing. They hold the weight of your entire body, they move you forward, they keep you upright even when the ground rolls or shifts beneath your feet. They let you get out of a chair, step out of a car, turn, pivot, lift, bend, kneel, and recover your balance when something unexpected happens. They carry you through your entire life. And when the muscles in your legs stay strong, all of these daily actions stay smooth and dependable. But when those muscles weaken, every one of these tasks starts to feel more difficult, more tiring, and sometimes even a little scary. Weak legs make you feel unsteady, unsure, and more vulnerable to falls. And a fall can be a life-changing event for someone over 60. That's why leg strength isn't just about fitness. It's about protecting your life, your independence, and your long-term health. The connection between strong legs and longevity has been studied for years, and the link is remarkably consistent. People with stronger leg muscles tend to live longer, not because muscle alone determines lifespan, but because stronger legs help you stay physically active, maintain better circulation, support better metabolic health, and preserve your mobility for decades. Mobility is one of the most powerful indicators of long-term well-being. When you can move freely, you stay socially connected, you stay mentally engaged, you remain able to take care of yourself, and you avoid the long list of physical declines that come from a sedentary lifestyle. Strong legs keep you moving, and movement keeps you alive and thriving. Mobility is not just about walking. It's about moving with confidence, with ease, without pain, and without hesitation. When your legs are strong, everything feels lighter. You walk farther without getting tired. You climb stairs without pulling yourself up with the railing. You get down to pick something up and stand back up without grunting or struggling. You navigate uneven sidewalks, slippery surfaces, grassy yards, and busy environments without feeling afraid of losing your balance. This level of mobility often marks the difference between a life that feels empowered and a life that feels restricted. Once mobility starts to decline, people often find themselves avoiding activities they used to enjoy. They go out less. They stop doing chores they once handled easily. They turn down invitations that involve walking or standing. And this withdrawal from activity accelerates weakness even more, creating a cycle that becomes hard to break. Strong legs interrupt that cycle by keeping your body capable and willing to move. And then comes the issue of falls, something almost every older adult worries about, even if they don't talk about it openly. Falls are one of the biggest causes of injury in adults over 60, and they often lead to hospitalization, loss of independence, and long recovery times. But what most people don't realize is that the majority of falls start with one simple thing: the legs not responding quickly or strongly enough to correct a wobble, a slip, or a sudden shift in balance. Falls rarely happen because the feet slip completely out from under someone. It usually starts with a small misstep, a little stumble, a moment of weakness where the muscles couldn't react fast enough. Strong legs don't just help you walk, they help you catch yourself when life throws you off balance. When your legs are strong, the muscles react faster. They push against the ground more powerfully. They stabilize your knees and hips when something unexpected happens. The hips don't collapse inward. The knees don't buckle. The ankles stay steady. All of these small reactions, which happen in fractions of a second, are the things that prevent falls. And the stronger your legs are, especially the quads, hamstrings, glutes, and the small stabilizing muscles around the hips and knees, the better your body handles these unpredictable moments. It's not just about strength, though. It's also about coordination and muscle communication. When you do simple strengthening exercises like the sit-to-stand squat, you're not only building muscle, you're improving the way your brain sends signals to those muscles. Each repetition teaches your legs how to activate quickly, smoothly, and efficiently. The more you practice, the more automatic this becomes. That's why people who train their legs regularly have much better balance and much lower fall risk. It's not just that their legs are stronger, it's that their legs are smarter, more responsive, and more reliable. Stronger legs also improve posture. Many older adults experience rounding in the upper back or leaning forward at the hips, not because their spine is weak, but because the legs aren't strong enough to support an upright posture. When the legs weaken, the body tries to compensate by shifting weight forward, which strains the back and makes you feel unsteady. Strong legs, especially strong glutes, allow your pelvis to stay aligned, your spine to stay neutral, and your torso to stay upright. Better posture means better breathing, better balance, and less pain. And then there's the impact on circulation. Something many people don't realize is heavily influenced by leg strength. Your legs contain some of the largest muscles in your entire body, and when they contract, they push blood upward towards the heart. This helps improve circulation, reduce swelling in the lower legs, and support cardiovascular health. When the leg muscles weaken, blood flow tends to slow down, leading to stiffness, heaviness, and decreased energy. Strong legs act like pumps, keeping blood moving, which supports heart health and overall vitality. Another surprising connection is the link between leg strength and brain health. Research has shown that maintaining strong leg muscles is associated with better cognitive function over time. That's because movement increases blood flow to the brain, delivering more oxygen and nutrients that keep brain cells healthy. When you perform leg-strengthening movements regularly, especially functional ones like the sit-to-stand squat, you stimulate the parts of the brain responsible for balance, coordination, and body awareness. All of this helps keep the mind sharper, more responsive, and more resilient as you age. Leg strength also affects your energy levels throughout the day. When your legs are weak, your body has to work much harder to perform even basic movements. Standing up feels like an effort, walking makes you tired quickly, climbing stairs leaves you winded. This constant strain drains your energy and can make you feel exhausted even when you haven't done much. But when your legs are strong, movements require less effort, which means you conserve energy for things you actually enjoy: going out, socializing, hobbies, travel, spending time with family, or exercising more. Strong legs give your body a reserve of power that you can draw from without wearing yourself down. And let's talk about confidence, which becomes so important as we age. Mobility isn't just physical, it's emotional. People who trust their legs, who feel stable and strong, carry themselves differently. They walk taller, move more freely, and approach physical tasks with much more reassurance. They don't worry about stumbling or slowing others down. They don't avoid social situations because they fear walking too far or standing too long. They don't feel fragile. Leg strength gives you that sense of security, and that sense of security often translates into a more active, joyful, and socially connected life. One of the beautiful things about leg strength is that it responds quickly to consistent effort, even if you haven't trained in years. Many people believe that once they hit 60 or 70, building strength is no longer possible, but the human body remains incredibly adaptable. Even people in their 80s and 90s can gain significant leg strength in just a few weeks of simple exercise. The sit-to-stand squat is especially powerful because it mirrors a movement you already do, so your body recognizes it immediately and responds quickly. You don't need heavy weights or long workouts. You just need consistent, intentional practice. And because the sit-to-stand squat uses your body weight, it places the perfect amount of resistance on your legs without overwhelming them. Your quads work to control the descent, your glutes fire to stabilize your hips, your hamstrings assist in balance, your calves help guide your weight, your core supports your torso. It is a full lower body exercise packed into one natural motion, and that's why it builds strength so effectively. The stronger your legs become, the more these daily movements feel effortless, and the more energy and confidence you have to stay active and independent. So much of aging well comes down to staying mobile, staying steady, and staying strong enough to fully participate in life. And stronger legs sit at the heart of all of that. They influence how long you stay healthy, how well you move through the world, and how safe you feel in your own body. When your legs are strong, everything in your life becomes easier. From walking to chores, to hobbies, to social activities, to simple everyday tasks. Strong legs support your longevity, protect your independence, and dramatically reduce your risk of falls by giving you the stability, power, and quick reactions your body needs as it moves through each day. When you hear the phrase safe, joint-friendly, and accessible, it might sound like a marketing line, but when it comes to exercise for adults over 60, those three qualities are absolutely everything. So many people in this age group want to stay active, want to feel stronger, want to move better, but they're also dealing with things like stiff knees, sensitive hips, lower back soreness, old injuries that never fully healed, arthritis, or just the reality that their bodies don't bounce back the way they used to. That's why the sit-to-stand squat is such an ideal movement. It meets you where you are, instead of forcing your body into shapes or ranges of motion that feel uncomfortable or intimidating. This movement works with your joints, not against them, and it allows you to build strength in a way that feels safe, familiar, and completely manageable, even if you haven't exercised consistently in years. One of the big reasons this squat is so joint-friendly is because it follows a pattern you've used your whole life. From the moment you were a child, learning to sit in a chair all the way through adulthood, this motion has been part of your everyday experience. That means the knees, hips, and spine recognize it instantly. They know how to move through it smoothly, and that familiarity is incredibly protective. Your body doesn't tense up the way it might during an unfamiliar exercise. Instead, it moves comfortably through its natural range, which reduces strain and lowers the risk of injury. The movement isn't forced, awkward, or abrupt. It's the same motion you use every time you get up from the table or sit down on a couch, just done a little more intentionally. Because it's so natural, your joints glide instead of grind, and the muscles that support those joints activate in the correct way. Another reason it's so safe is that you control the depth completely. Traditional gym squats can feel scary because people think they have to bend deeply, go low, or force their joints into a position that doesn't feel right. But with a sit-to-stand squat, the chair sets the depth for you. You don't have to think about how far down you're going because the chair is already there waiting. You lower yourself until you reach it, and that's your stopping point. This prevents overbending, collapsing, or going too low and risking strain on the knees. For people with arthritis or limited mobility, that predictability feels reassuring. You always know exactly where your body's going to land, and that reduces fear, hesitation, and unnecessary tension in the joints. The chair also provides a sense of security. Knowing you have something solid behind you gives you confidence. That alone changes how your muscles work. When people feel uncertain or afraid of falling, they tighten up, shift their weight in unbalanced ways, or move too quickly, which actually increases the risk of strain. But when you know a sturdy chair is beneath you, your body relaxes into the movement. You lower with control instead of bracing or panicking. That means your muscles carry the load instead of your joints. The simple presence of the chair acts like a safety net, and that changes everything. And if you need extra support at first, the chair allows that too. Some people feel more comfortable keeping their hands near the chair's edges or arms in case they need a little help. That's perfectly fine because the goal is not to do the movement perfectly on day one. The goal is to strengthen your legs, hips, and core in a way that feels doable for your body right now. Over time, as you get stronger, you can gradually rely on your hands less and less. But in the beginning, having the option to use them makes the exercise accessible for everyone, regardless of strength level. This is one of the reasons physical therapists use this movement so often. It can be adapted to almost any ability level without sacrificing safety. The sit-to-stand squat is also joint-friendly because it encourages proper alignment naturally. When you sit down and stand up, your knees automatically track forward in a way that matches your hip angle. Your feet stay grounded, your hips move back, your torso stays relatively upright. This is biomechanically sound, meaning it respects the natural architecture of your joints. You're not twisting, rotating, or loading your joints in unusual ways. You're simply reinforcing the patterns they're already designed for. When the movement is aligned,
The stress is distributed evenly across the muscles, instead of being dumped onto one vulnerable joint. People with knee pain often find that this motion actually helps them feel better over time because strengthening the muscles around the joints reduces pressure on the joint surfaces. And because the movement is familiar, predictable, and controlled, it doesn't provoke inflammation the way high-impact activities might. Many people with knee or hip arthritis find that their pain decreases when they consistently practice intentional sit-to-stand movements because the joints become more supported and the surrounding muscles become more active. This exercise also supports lower back health in an incredibly natural way. Lower back pain is extremely common in adults over 60, often caused by weak glutes and a weak core. The sit-to-stand squat engages both of these areas without putting stress on the spine. Every time you stand up, your core activates to keep your torso upright and your glutes engaged to extend the hips. This helps relieve tension from the lower back muscles, which are often overworked when the hips and core are weak. Over time, strengthening these supporting muscles results in a more stable spine, better posture, and reduced lower back discomfort. It's amazing how much impact such a simple movement can have on back health when done consistently. Another factor that contributes to the safety of this movement is that it teaches body awareness. Many older adults gradually lose the ability to sense where their body is in space, something called proprioception. This loss contributes to falls, clumsiness, and instability. The sit-to-stand squat retrains this awareness in a gentle, supportive way. You learn how to feel how much pressure you're putting on each foot, how your weight shifts as you lower yourself, how your hips and knees move, and how your body aligns as you stand up. This increased awareness carries over into all your daily activities, making you more stable and coordinated in everything you do. It also helps reduce fear around movement. When you perform an exercise that feels safe, predictable, and within your control, it rebuilds your confidence. People who feel steady and capable are far more likely to stay active and less likely to fear falling. Fear alone can cause stiffness, hesitation, and missteps, which ironically increases fall risk. But when you feel strong and stable, the fear fades, and your movements become smoother and relaxed. As you continue practicing the sit-to-stand squat, the movement not only strengthens your muscles, but also nurtures your confidence, your stability, your joint comfort, and your willingness to stay active. It's rare to find an exercise that checks so many boxes at once: safe, joint-friendly, accessible, adjustable, familiar, protective, empowering. All of that comes together in this simple movement with a stable chair, making it one of the most powerful exercises an adult over